this returned, we are able to access the attributes of the class, isn't it? Why? Because the attributes of this class are public. When we say public, what does that mean? Public means the attributes can be accessed outside of the class. If it is private, private means it cannot be accessed outside of the class. It's only accessed in the class. Is that understood? So when you run this program, you got a result because your attributes are public. If it is private, you will not get a result because name, address will be undefined. Let us make them private. How do you make them private? You go back to your attribute declaration or your attribute definition and you put a double underscore before writing the attribute name. Double underscore. Now, these attributes are now private. They can only be accessed in the class. They cannot be accessed outside of the class. So this .number, .address are invalid. They do not exist. They are not defined. If you try to write dot, you will not even see, oh, it's there, .number, but it's still invalid. Okay, whether you put double underscore or not is still invalid. Let us run this code. Invalid. Whether double underscore is there or not, it is invalid. It does not exist. It's not defined. Why is it not defined? Because they do not exist outside of the class. They are only private to the class. They cannot be accessed outside of the class. So this is what we call private attributes. So now I cannot get number, I cannot get address, I cannot get name from this class. Is that understood? I cannot. Why? Because they are what? Private. Is this understood, everyone? Good. So let me now teach you guys how to write methods in a class. Okay? So let me take all this away. I may need them later. Do you guys notice that you cannot access the name, address, and number outside of this class, right? Because they are what? Private. But if they are private, how do I now access them if they are private? Because I need to print the name, the address. Don't I need them? But they are private. So how do I go around it? You can create a method in this class to return. Method is not just only used to return names or attributes. Is that understood? Some people think because in most Cambridge exam, some methods are used to return attributes. So they think that is the only thing methods are used for. No. Methods are used to execute some certain functions, tasks. The task of a function may be to return an attribute or may be to do another calculation. Do you understand? So that does not necessarily mean that methods are only used to return. So to write a method, you write it outside of, it's inside the class but outside of the constructor. It stands on its own. So I write df. So let's assume I want to return name. Is that understood? I want to be able to print name outside of the class. And the name attribute is what? Is private. So I can write get name. Is that understood? Get name. Now, the attributes cannot be used in this method. They cannot be accessed in this method. If you want this method to access the attributes, then you must pass a self parameter here in your method. So for every method you pass the self parameter, then that method can access the attributes. I told you, if the attribute is private, it is only accessed in the class. Don't forget the method is also in the class. So that means whether it is private or public, the method can access it. since the method is in the class. Is that understood? But if you want the method to access it directly, then you must pass a self parameter. If a self parameter is not passed, then the method cannot access those attributes. Is that understood? Then I can write word. Word is just a variable. Only belongs to what? To the get method, to the get name method. It does not belong to the what? To the sleeping students, to the constructor. It only belongs to what? To the what? To the get name method. So I'm just creating a local variable in get name. Is that understood? So word is equal to your name is plus self dot name. Can you see what I've just done? I have done a computation by finding what? Another string, isn't it? Then at the end of the day, then I write return word. So that means anytime this get method is called, it's going to return your name is the attribute that was passed. Is that understood? Now it can now access the attributes. So let me also write another method. Def get what? Address. Get address. Also what? Self. Also word is equal to, is this word equal to the previous word? They are both local variables in what? In each of the methods. Is that understood? You live at plus self dot address. Then return word. Then def get number self. Okay, word is equal to your phone number is then plus string. Why am I using string? Because number is a what? Is an integer. Is that correct? And I need to what? To concatenate it. Is that understood? Then I have return word. Is this understood, everyone? So now I have three get methods in this class. So now, outside of the function, let's now go back to the previous code. Now we have an array of type what? Sleeping students. Variable 1 is this, variable 2 is this, variable 3 is this. So now remember that if you run this code, this will not run, isn't it? Because number and address are what? Are not defined. Because they are private attributes to the what? To the class. They are not public. Can you guys still remember that? So what I'm supposed to do is, since if I want to get the name of sleeping student 1, is that understood? That means I need to print value 1 dot what method returns name? Get name. Get name. And because it's a method, is that understood? Does this method require an argument? No. If it does require an argument, then you must pass an argument. Is that understood? If an argument is required, you will set it in the get method. Is that understood? So you have to set a parameter here. So you pass an argument that goes to this as a parameter. Is that understood? And it will only belong to what? To that method. It will not belong to this method or even the constructor. Is that understood now? So if I print this now, what is it printing now? Your name is Ayan. Is this understood, everyone? Why is it printing your name is Ayan? Because that was the task I asked get name to do. Is this understood, everyone? So that means that if I want to get the phone number of student 3, then I write print value 3 dot what? Get number. Is that understood? Then when you run this, your name is Iron. Your phone number is this. Is this understood, everyone? It's as easy as that. So with this is how methods are written in what? In classes. Is this understood, everyone? Apart from return, we can also write functions to do something else. I can write def calculate calculate. Let's say I want to calculate disciplinary measures. Disciplinary measures. Self. Then I want to pass the parameter. The parameter is hours. Can you see? The parameter is what? Hours. I want to ask the student, how many hours did you sleep? So we can calculate if we are going to give the students 2 years suspension, 1 year suspension, 10 years suspension, or disqualified from the school. Okay, so that is now the aim of this function. Calculate what? Disciplinary measures. Now, in this calculate disciplinary measures, the first thing to do is to get the name of the students, isn't it? Or probably we just ask the student the question because the student's name has been gotten already. Is that understood? Then let's say this. Let's write hours is equal to hours if hours is less than 0. If it's not up to 1 hour. Okay, if it's not up to 1 hour, then I write that punishment. I hope. So now if hours is less than 0, sanction is equal to self is equal to, then I write sanction is equal to self dot name I should write that as a string. Okay, self dot name is a string, isn't it? Should be pardoned since the hours of sleep is what? Is just that. What is that? Hours. You see, then we need a what? A format. You guys can see that. The normal thing we do, isn't it? Good. Then L if hours is, let me write 0 is less than hours and less than or equal to 5. Can you do that? Then here I can what? I can return sanction. Is that understood? Then I can return that value. If it's less than, if it's 5 hours and below, then I can also do the same and write, instead of should be pardoned, should be suspended for 2 years. For 2 years, okay. Then return sanction. then else. That means if it is more than 5 hours, oh, then should be what? Dismissed. Okay, should be what? Dismissed. Okay, good. You can see this now. So now, let's now try to access that function outside of the class now, isn't it? Now, we've gotten the 3 objects. Now saving what? In an array. We've printed name of the first student, or let me write this, value1 dot get name. Since that has been gotten, then I write user is equal to integer input, enter the numbers of hours you have slept. Okay, so I'm printing get name. Enter the value of hours you have slept. Then after giving me, then I now write that value1, or let me write that returned value is equal to value1, which is an object, right? Dot what? Call disciplinary measures. Are you going to pass any parameters? Yes, and that parameter should be what? User. Is that understood? It should be an integer, not a string, isn't it? It should be user. Then you now print, because that object, that method in that object will what? Will return a value. Is that understood? Is that understood? The method in that object will what? Return a value. Then I print what? The return value from that object. So can you now see the difference between an object and a method? A method does not an object does not return a value. It is the method in the object that can return a value. Now we can now print this, the return value. So RET is not an object. It's not an object handler. It is keeping or saving the value returned by the disciplinary measures of what? Method in the object. Is that understood? Is that understood, everyone? Yes. Okay, good. So if you run this now, then this should write, your name is Ayan. Enter the number of hours you have slept. I have only slept for 3 hours. Ayan should be pardoned for 2 years. Since the suspended for 2 years. Since the what? The hours of sleep is just 3 hours. Oh, 2 years. Sorry, not that much. Okay. So what if you have value2 dot get name? And you run this, and the value is 10. What is the problem? Iron should be dismissed for what? Oh, we are still using value 1. Can you see? We are still using the, can you see? I have changed. I only printed what? The name of value 2, but I'm still using value 1 as what? To get the method, isn't it? Instead of using value 2 to what? To get the method. Is that understood? When I use value 2, it wrote 10 hours. Okay, good. So when I run this now, and I wrote 10 hours, then it says what? This should be, since hours of sleep is what? Is just 10 years. Is that understood? Sorry, 10 hours rather. Is that understood, everyone? So this is all about classes and objects. So from the next class, we will solve examples from Cambridge past questions so that we can practice more complex questions with classes and objects. At this point, this is the end of this class. Any question?